Saints first Raiders game prediction. Can New Orleans overcome the odds, ladies and gentlemen? Today, the backdrop, Matt Moscona. Psych, he's out. So it's this young hombre right here filling in. After further review, listen, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't have a good feeling about this game for the Saints. And I don't think a lot of people really would argue that. I don't think a lot of people would say, whoa, James, what do you mean? What do you mean we're not going to win this game? What do you mean? Have you seen the injury report? That's what I would say. Here's the deal. Fully healthy? Yeah, we should beat the Raiders. Semi-healthy? Yes, we should beat the Raiders. But currently, the team that we are rolling out there is not an NFL team. Thus, the team we are rolling out there will not beat NFL teams. So I fully expect the Raiders to dog walk us in front of God and everybody, in front of my friends and family, on the last home game of the season. I will have Dome Dogs in my pockets. I will have multiple Dome Dogs, Bloody Marys, Crown. I will have it all. I can't wait. I'm excited. Unlike other Saints fans, I will watch the game in the Superdome. Come on. And, it is what it is. As far as, the game itself, I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think we do much. I don't think they do much. I think Brock Bowers will do whatever he wants. I know he's 5 receptions away from setting the rookie receiving record. That will be set probably in the first quarter. So if you want a gambling tip, go take Brock Bowers overs. Take his over receptions, take his over yards, take it all. We'll see what Rattler can do if he can pick up his first win. Again, we are focused on evaluation. We are focused on who is part of the future. We are focused on how these players are playing in the individual moments, play to play. We are evaluating these players.
All right, the Saints will play the Raiders on Sunday because the NFL says that they have to. These are two very bad football teams.
The
Raiders coming in off of a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are now 3-12 on the season thanks to that victory. Of course, it
really says something that they are 3-12, and we are, as of right now, 2-point home dogs to a 3-12 team. That tells you, if you're a home dog, that tells you if this game was in Vegas, we would be a huge dog. All right, if this game was on a neutral, we'd be a huge dog. The fact that we are a home dog to a 3-12 Raiders team with Aidan O'Connell, my God.
The New Orleans Saints coming in off of the 34-0 blowout loss against the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football.
And boy,
they are 5-10 on the season. Two teams that expectations weren't really high for in general, but
false. Expectations were incredibly high. Last night, I was having a beer at a bar, and I was talking to someone, and they were saying, man, do you remember after week 2 how high the bar was, how excited we were for the season? I said, yes, and I'll take another beer. And so, false, I would say to this young hombre, I would say the Raiders, everyone knew the Raiders were going to be bad. Antonio Pierce is the head coach. If Antonio Pierce is the head coach, team will be bad. But the Saints, it was Super Bowl aspirations after week 2. It was NFC title contender after week 2. Now, those proved to be false. Those proved to be fugazi. But in the moment, it was, damn, this might be the best offense in the NFL. Damn, this team's doing what other teams we haven't seen since 2009, right? It was a whole different thing. Then the injuries happened, and I'll say it because I can't prove it. If the injuries don't happen, I think the Saints are a 10-plus win team. The Raiders, they were going to suck regardless. But, I think it is wrong to say that there wasn't a ceiling for the Saints. And I think it is wrong to believe that there wasn't high expectations, because I think everybody believed that at the minimum, the Saints would compete for the NFC South. At the minimum, the Saints would win 9 games. At the minimum, they would be in that conversation for the playoff. I don't think anybody expected the Saints to be where they are now. And truthfully, you couldn't expect it because of the injuries. You can't expect, we'll have 16 starters go down to injury. Of course, so.
Teams that have still somehow underachieved and finished below even the low expectations. But, again, they're going to play the game. So we'll break it down and try to give you a pick here. And I've literally gone back and forth on this one all day long. It's just, it's a tough game to pick because you could make a case for both sides. When you look at the Raiders, one thing that they have an advantage in, and we talked about this with Adam Hill when he was here earlier in the show, is on the defensive side of the ball in certain areas of the game. I mean, if you're just looking at the Raiders from a scoring defense perspective, they rank near the bottom of the NFL. But their secondary has been really good.
All right, let's pull up DVOA. All right, so if we're looking at DVOA, and I was not factoring in doing this, now I will say DVOA is going to be a little off for this. I really, like I said, I wasn't going to pull this up because I don't think it really is that impactful as far as the Saints because of the volatility of the roster. Obviously, like these numbers are all skewed because some of the games are Rattler, some of the games are Carr, one of the halves is Hayner. You know, the defense, sometimes it's Lattimore, sometimes it's not Lattimore. So, so like for the Saints, it really doesn't matter what these numbers say. I just want to see where the Raiders rank because, we don't cover the Raiders. So let's just see how they've done DVOA-wise this season, just so we know exactly where they are. So the Raiders, DVOA, they're 27th. The Saints are 21st, but again, these numbers don't really matter for the Saints. If we go to, let's go across the whole thing. Offensive DVOA, I mean, I would assume this is going to be pretty bad across the board for the Raiders. They are 28th in passing. They are 31st. And like, really think about this. They're 28th in pass offense, 31st in run offense, and they're 2-point favorites on the road. Let's go to defensive. Defensive, let's see here. Pass defense, or let's say total defense, they are not awful. They're 17th. Okay, so not awful. Pass defense, they are 19th. All right, so we're getting somewhere. And then run defense, I think I saw they're 21st. So they're 19th pass defense, 21st in run defense. They're 28th and 31st in offense. If we're looking at the odds board, so it opened up. Now the open is a little weird because of the injuries, but it opens up. Three's not real. It shows 3, but that's without like injuries and stuff. So we'll call it 3, but that's not totally true. But it flips to pick 'em and 1 for most of the week. Then I think some more injuries come out. So obviously this is the last. This is Friday's injury report. Carr out, Kamara out, McCoy out, Patrick out. Okay, so those 4 out. That pushes the line from 1 to 2. Basically, is what happens. So the true opener, I would call it like Saints -1, somewhere in there. It flips to fave for the Raiders. Worse injury news for the Saints moves the Raiders up. Is how I would decipher the line movement. Three is a bit fugazi. If we go to the splits, like obviously there's going to be a lot of ticket and handle on the Raiders. It's going to be public and pro support. 59% of bets, 56% of the handle, moves it to 2. We knew that wasn't going to be a surprise. So, I mean, it's Raiders money. Like Raiders money's coming in. Raiders money has continued to come in. Again, this is sharp and public money is both on the Raiders. No one's backing the Saints. Looking at DVOA, all I would say is the Raiders have a relatively middle of the road defense and a middle of the road defense against practice squad level players that the Saints have currently. I would say Saints unders as far as like their team total, as far as like, I think it's just going to be a sloggy, messy, disgusting, filthy game. And let's look again. The Raiders injury report, they're missing Meredith, but I mean, look at this, just rough for the Saints.
In fact, the secondary ranks top 10 in pass defense in the NFL.
No, they don't. I cannot stand when teams do this. ladies and gentlemen, I explain this all the time, and I'll explain it again because I do not want y'all to deal with this and to misread this. Okay, so if you go to defense and if you go to passing yards given up per game, all right, it is a misnomer. Sometimes what happens is bad teams end up ranking pretty high in passing yards given up per game because they're getting their ass kicked so bad that their opponents don't have to throw. So if they're down 21-0 at halftime and their opponent is just running the football, that is going to improperly boost their passing yards given up. Does that make sense? That should make sense. Let me know in the comments. Does it make sense? Type a yes. So if all you're doing is looking at ESPN.com and sorting by passing yards per game, that is not how you get to the best passing defenses. DVOA is not the end all be all, but DVOA weights all of that. So they weight situational stuff, they weight the down and distance, they weight the time of the quarters, the game state, the players on the field, all that stuff. So you get a much more true look at what it truly is. It is not a coincidence that if you look at the Giants are the 20. Let's do Carolina too. The Giants in Carolina are the 30th and 29th ranked pass defense on DVOA. 30 and 29. If you go to ESPN.com and do the passing yards given up per game, the Giants are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're the 7th best, quote unquote best, pass defense in the NFL, and the Panthers are the 8, 9, 10, 11th. Okay. Do you think the Giants are the 7th best pass defense in the NFL? Do you think the Panthers are the 11th? No. Do you think the Raiders are the 10th? Do you think obviously, no. Okay. Washington, 22. On here, they're 4th. All right. So, New England, 31st on here. New England, weren't they? They're right here. Okay. New England's what, like 13 or something like that? It's not a coincidence. Okay. Not a coinky dink. So, make sure you're factoring that in. Because then if you go to like points given up per game, very unlikely that the Panthers and the Giants would rank highly, and the Raiders and the Patriots are ranked low. Very unlikely these teams would rank low on points given up per game whilst being some of the best pass defenses in the NFL. Okay, that does not happen. That's not the same. So do not be somebody who gets into that trap, all right, of looking at yards given up per game that look at those kind of numbers. All right, go look at yards per play given up. Yards per play is fine. DVOA is fine. But ESPN.com in 2024, almost 2025, where we have the analytics and the statistics at our fingertip, and this cat right here is using passing yards, it makes me sick.
That bodes well against the New Orleans Saints. Because who you throwing the football to at this point? You know, Chris Olave was a full participant at practice all week. He's questionable. I'm not expecting to see Chris Olave in this game.
He's not going to
And even if by some chance you do, which would be absurd, the guy hasn't played in almost a month.
I might go on the field and tell him don't play. If he's playing, I might walk down there and say, brother, just don't play. Please. Why are you doing this? Don't play. Do not do this. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Please. Come sit by me.
Actually, I'm sorry, more than a month. There'd be rust. It's just not there, and I'm not expecting him to play. So you've got Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, and who else?
Who is injured?
The passing game, it has not been fruitful since Rashid Shaheed went down.
Brother, if the Saints were playing in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl and they were playing against Iowa State secondary could lock down the receivers that we've got out there right now. Kevin Austin Jr. isn't making Iowa State's team.
You lost Taysom Hill, then Chris Olave. Like, you've gotten gutted there. And now you're going to face a defense that's top 10 in the NFL against the pass with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. who albeit has shown signs at some points throughout this season, that doesn't necessarily bode well for you. The other thing is something else we talked about with Adam Hill earlier in the show, and that's this banged-up Saints offensive line going up against a Raiders pass rush that has still been serviceable even without Max Crosby. And look, I understand. Again, you're not better without Max Crosby on the field, but the interior of your line is once again a shuffle, and you have Trevor Penning and then a rookie, Taliesin Fuanga, outside at your tackle spots.
Who've been good?
The Packers' defense, their pass rush is better than the Raiders. But you saw Spencer Rattler be under constant pressure on Monday night. You're dealing with a short week if you're the New Orleans Saints. Now, you don't have to travel, so that's a plus.
Horrible scheduling spot for the Saints as far as, like, you go play Monday night in Green Bay. You come back, Christmas Eve is the next day. Then you go right into Christmas. Then you're back maybe on Thursday. Game on Sunday. You're already on short rest. You miss 2 days of practice because of the holidays. Brutal spot for the Saints. Ugly spot.
When I look at this from a Saints perspective, what they have to do in this game to win, you have got to finish drives with touchdowns.
Hard-hitting analysis there. No doubt about it. Scoring touchdowns will help us winning games. No doubt.
No field goals. You have to finish drives.
Finish drives. Like, brother, we're not even in the car. Finish drives? We didn't even sniff the red zone. Okay? Didn't sniff the red zone against Green Bay. The drives aren't even starting to be finished. There aren't drives to be finished. Like, the problem isn't that we aren't finishing the drives. The problem is that there is no drive at all.
With touchdowns.
Okay,
and
so
you
key to the game, score touchdowns. Where's my pen?
Possessions.
Steal possessions.
And the other thing
extra possessions
is Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers.
Let's kind of take them one by one. Finishing
Where the hell's my pen?
drives with touchdowns. Shout out to Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net. He put up this great piece, statistics to know for the game against the Saints. He highlighted point differential. The Saints are minus 37 in point differential. They were hovering around single digits in the plus minus until the Packers game. That skewed everything.
Okay.
So they've actually
Nope. Can't look at that either. Cannot look at the points differential either. Does anybody in the back, anybody want to comment and tell me why point differential for the Saints does not matter as a statistic going into this game? Anybody? Anyone? Girthquake? You in the back? That's correct. Yes, because the first two games skewed points, the point differential, and bonus points, completely different roster. Yes, you cannot use a season-long stat like point differential when the lineup that you have is not reflective of the statistic. So that would be like saying, like, passing yards for the season, a total, like a composite passing yards compilation, blending Carr, Hainer, and Rattler, and be like, well, the Saints have blank passing yards. It's like, well, some of those yards aren't Rattlers. How can you use that stat?
Pretty good there, and a lot of that is finishing drives. Whereas the Raiders are minus 126. They're not very good. Finish your drives.
Finish drives.
Figure out a way to stop Brock Bowers. It's been real difficult. The guy has been incredible as a rookie.
Yes.
Over 1,000 yards. He's got 30 more receptions, 30 more targets, 220 more yards than the next closest receiver, and he leads the team in receiving touchdowns. And you know what? The Saints have been really, really bad against tight ends this year. Dallas Goedert went for 170 on you. Travis Kelce went for 70-plus yards. For God's sakes, Jatavian Sanders for the Panthers ate you alive from the tight end position. The list goes on and on and on and on. Njoku got you. Kyle Pitts, the second time around, got you pretty good.
There you go.
Tucker Kraft on Monday night got you pretty good.
No doubt.
You have to figure out a way to do that. I don't know if they can. They don't have anyone really that can guard the tight end.
No,
and
you're right,
the Raiders have shown an ability, even when everyone and their mom knows that Brock Bowers is getting the ball, they've shown the ability to still get him the football.
Mothers against Brock Bowers.
The other thing is steal possessions, force turnovers.
Forced turnovers.
That might be the greatest advantage that the Saints have in this football game. I actually think that it is the greatest advantage that the Saints have in this football game.
Okay, what is it?
-1 in the turnover margin. When you look at the Raiders, they are -17.
Okay, there you go.
The Saints have to be on the positive side of the turnover margin to have
the turnover
any
battle,
chance
touchdowns.
of winning this game.
Mothers against Brock Bowers. I got it.
But on the flip side of that is when the Saints offense has been at its best, you've had Eric McCoy and you've had a healthy running game.
Yeah, when the Saints offense has been at its best, Alvin Kamara was on the field, Eric McCoy was on the field, Derek Carr was on the field, Chris Olave was on the field, Rashishi, he was on the field, Taysom Hill was on the field. Problematic. None of those guys are going to be on the field. Some of them won't even be in the stadium.
As well. You do not have either of those things in this football game. And that's why it's going to be a very low-scoring affair, and stealing possessions is going to be huge. I just look at the Saints offense, and I don't know how they really score much in this football game. I look at the Raiders offense. I don't know how they score much in this game, but I think they can score more than the Saints. The Raiders are a favorite in this game for a reason. And I think that they do come into the Dome and get it done. I'll take Vegas 16-10. I think it's going to be that ugly. But give me the Raiders. And I hope I'm wrong, because the Saints' draft position is set. I mean, they're picking 9, 10, 11, that range. So, hell, see if you can get a win if you can. I like the Raiders 16-10 to beat the Saints at home in the home finale in the regular season.
Hey, thanks so much for watching.
Oh, no problem,
Please
man.
leave your comments. I love to interact.
Yeah.
And be sure to hit the
I'll
red
be down
subscribe button below.
No doubt. All right, brother. I'll see you later. Yeah, I mean, okay. That was hard-hitting analysis there from this compadre. Very well done. Good stuff. Somebody turned the heater on in the studio. This poor guy looks like he's freezing. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll do my analysis now. Basically, the Saints are complete ass. Brock Bowers is the best player on the field. The Saints are a middling. They might win the Sun Belt this year. The Raiders are an NFL team. The smart money is on the Raiders. The Raiders have flipped dog to fave. The Saints don't really have any players like that play the running back position. I'm not even totally sure who's going to be on the offensive line. I might, if I show up early enough to the game, I might be playing on the offensive line. Yeah, so I mean, I do agree with this guy that it will be a low-scoring game. Two horrible teams, two unmotivated teams. Bad scheduling spot for the Saints. I think, yeah, I agree. I think it'll be somewhere in that neighborhood of, 12-3 or 14-6 or 17-9, some disgusting, filthy score, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much where I land on this as well. Just ugly stuff all around. I can't imagine a situation where the Saints come out there and light it up. I don't know. I don't even know how the Saints score. I guess like a broken play or something like that. I would love to say this would be a good opportunity for Kendra Miller or whoever to have a breakout game, but that seems to be an impossibility. So, yeah, I mean, I not too much to break down here. We'll see. We'll get through it. If anything, I'll just say, watch the key players. Watch the Kendra Millers of the world and see what he can do. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty rough, ladies and gentlemen.